You think you own whatever land you land on. Hi, I'm Craig. Welcome. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim, but I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit. Don't you hate it when people don't finish the phrase of a song? WheezyNews! Jang, jing, badonka-donk, boom! First, a couple comments to address from the previous video. This was one of the most all-over-the-place videos ever. Have you seen my early videos on the main channel? This was definitely not. About the new intro discussion. Rename the channel to Wheezy Waiter, then you can use the old soundbite and the new title card. Incorporate something about waterproof boots and you're golden. Okay, let's try.
Wheezy Waiter!
Today we're reviewing the Hodgman GMWDE Game Weighed PVC Packable Chest Waders. First of all, I like the brown color because I can poop in them without anyone knowing. User reviews seem very positive. This person rated it 4 white stars and requested leaks, more insider information about the waders, I assume. I guess I'd know if I read their review. Who has time? An interior storage pocket where I can keep my Nintendo Switch because fishing is boring as and suspenders to achieve the ultimate goal of wearing waders, to feel like Wilford Brimley fishing in the movie Cocoon. Wait, I just looked up a picture of that and he's not even wearing waders. Show canceled. Let's go back to the other show. WheezyNews! Jang, jing, badonka-donk, boom! Hi, I'm Craig. Today is day 1 of my Biphasic Sleep experiment. Last night I went to bed at around 10:30 and I woke up at around 3. Set an alarm with my watch to vibrate on my wrist so I wouldn't wake up my wife, who I'm not gonna wake up anyway because she sleeps like the dead. Not that I'm jealous about that or anything. Got up, went downstairs, started editing this documentary that I'm supposed to be working on that I haven't been working on for a while. I think I've mentioned this before on the channel. I'm doing a documentary about Japanese Green Bay Packer fans. A friend of mine was working on it and he bribed me with a trip to Japan to work on it. So I'm not working on it because I'm a bad friend. But I'm using the Biphasic Sleep experiment to find the time in the wee hours to work on it. So I worked on it for about 2 hours. Oh yeah, and at first I was slightly snacky, which was weird. So I had a small of cereal. A small bowl of cereal. And worked on the documentary for about 2 hours, started feeling sleepy, went back to sleep, woke up at around 8. And that schedule is pretty common for how I usually sleep. Some nights I sleep all the way through, but some nights it's just like that. But this time, I got some work done, and it feels great. And while I was doing the work, I was way more focused, less distracted on anything else. It could have been because it was dark and there was nothing else going on. It could be because I told myself I'm going to use this time to work ahead of time and then I did it. Or maybe it's possible you have more focus between the 2 phases of the Biphasic. I have no idea, but I do know how it felt. It felt good. I'd rather use the time to work on stuff that I want to work on rather than lay in bed incorrectly thinking about Wilford Brimley wearing waders in the movie Cocoon. Or something. So far, so good. In the previous video, I mentioned I was going to read Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. A couple of you mentioned the Guzey blog, which debunks a lot of the things he says in that book. And I have heard that, it's not necessarily all correct. I also hear that with almost everything. And I also take almost everything with a grain of salt, even though you shouldn't have too much salt. Although there's a video from What I've Learned about how we might exaggerate the dangers of excessive sodium intake. But I take that with a grain of salt as well. I actually really like the Bad Food Bible from Dr. Aaron Carroll, who's been on several of my videos. Basically a guide for how to be skeptical about all the things we think are common knowledge about what is bad for us. And a lot of people don't like the things he says on my videos. Basically, if you make any claim on the internet, you're gonna have a bad time. That's why I try not to make claims. I try to make friends. I'm generally just trying to say what other people have said and just have my experience and be honest about how it felt. And try my best to not assume anything is true unless I'm 100% sure it's true. Or close to 100%, nothing's 100%. I'm not saying don't believe anything science tells you. Why do I have to always think in terms of future comments? That said, yeah, reading over that blog, it does seem like Matthew Walker may have been making some incorrect claims, whether intentional or not. So yes, I will be reading his book, reading that blog, grains of salt being taken everywhere, but not too much. Maybe, unless that's fine. Speaking of cherry picking studies, another new article about how coffee can be good for you. It comes from the New York Times. I'm not sure why it was written. It's not based on any new study. It links to a study from last year, but I like to be reminded every now and then that my vice is actually nice. It's associated with reduced less Rick in your life. Yes, if you've seen Rick and Morty, you do not want Rick in your life. Although a new season's starting right now and I'm getting pretty excited about it. Anyway, it's associated with reduced risk of Parkinson's disease, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, gallstones, depression, suicide, cirrhosis, liver cancer, melanoma. We're talking about 4 to 5 8-ounce cups of coffee, not just any little bit. Of course, the article also says it depends on how you drink your coffee. If you're gonna put a lot of sugar in it all the time, that's not gonna be great for you. It's also associated with being detrimental to your sleep. sleep. Probably not good if you're pregnant. And if it's unfiltered, like with French press, it's gonna also leak out other chemicals that might not be good for you. The answer, like pretty much everything, is it depends, and we don't 100% know everything. The conclusion I come to is I can probably drink as much as I want and not think about it, because I'm generally drinking 2 to 3 or 4 cups. That's pretty much the conclusion in the coffee chapter of Dr. Aaron Carroll's book as well. Also the conclusion of almost all the chapters: butter, meat, eggs, salt, gluten, diet soda, MSG, non-organic foods. Again, these things are nuanced and there are exceptions and everyone's different, but our news reporting and our health reporting is less interesting when we come to wishy-washy conclusions, and that is the problem. You gotta make money, so you gotta make a decision at the expense of reflecting reality, which is why I try to still be interesting while maintaining nuanced and wishy-washy, inconclusive results that are more in line with what we actually know, by doing things like this, or this. Explosion! I'm thinking about making a thing called Explosion Wednesdays, I'm not sure though. But a lot of people are afraid of irreverent and irrelevant humor, and that's fine, they don't have to watch, but you're here and that's what matters. And as a reward, you get to hear the rest of the Pocahontas song. Has a name. Doesn't that feel good? Well, the rest of that part of it, I'm not singing the whole song. Now, stuff I'm into these days, bidets. It's a great way to wash your butt. I said before that I took a trip to Japan. That's where I learned that it's a great way to wash your butt. I guess you could say I'm into bidets, and they're into my butt. In fact, the next main channel video is going to be why do people like bidets. I really wish everyone did, and I really wish they were everywhere. Not everywhere, just like everywhere that there's a bathroom. It'd be weird if you could just like spray your butt literally anywhere. Another thing, Nintendo released a trailer for Metroid Dread. Metroid is one of my favorite Metroid style games, so I'm looking forward to it. And Breath of the Wild 2. It's in the sky, not in this guy, although it is inside my heart as well. You got like sky islands and that float and stuff. I want to play it, but it's going to be a little while. Currently reading the Anthropocene Reviewed, which is by this author by the name of John Green. You may have heard of him, and it is fantastic. He picks a thing in our world and reviews it, like plagues, the Indy 500, Googling strangers on the internet. But here's the thing, John Green is compelling it. Sure. I just listened to the Hiroyuki Doi chapter, an artist who makes these amazing pieces that are just little circles, thousands, maybe tens of thousands, and how Hiroyuki Doi says that he makes them because it's a relief from grief and sadness. And John Green compares it to how he has made it a ritual to sign his books. He's signed over 500,000 times, and it's not necessarily enjoyable, but it is engrossing, and seeking out something that is engrossing seems to be his main goal. It's relaxing, it's calming, it puts you in a state of just good. He also talks about it in this video. John Green also makes videos, in case you didn't know. And listening to that, it makes me realize that since I started making these types of videos, this is the 3rd one in about a week, that's what these are for me. It calms my mind for the rest of the day, into the next day after I make one of these. While I'm making it, I'm fully engrossed and I am free of anxiety. It's unlike the big videos, which take a lot of writing and planning, and they have deadlines and sponsors and more importance attached to them. They're very rewarding and I like doing them, but there's definitely some anxiety there. It's less fun. Going back to this style of video has unlocked something in my brain that is very comforting and very nice, and it shuts off certain bad parts of the brain. And I don't know why. I have no idea. I guess I have some ideas. Feeling of accomplishment, occupying my mind so it doesn't drift off into Wilford Brimley in the water. Or, death, fires, plagues. The fact that it lasts even after I'm done is surprising to me. This feels really good. I'm gonna keep trying to make these videos. And you should read the Anthropocene Reviewed, it's great. And then one other thing, obviously, Bo Burnham Inside. Awesome. Actually only halfway through it. I'm a little late to the game. The process he went through to make it, the kind of things he talks about, it all really hits home. He seems like just someone who wants to be creative, but yet is constantly aware of all the problems and ironies involved in the fact that he is creating things and is successful. Oh yeah, that reminds me of one more thing. Inside, the video game. Super fun, super disturbing. It's like 5 years old at this point. You probably have already played it if you care about things like this, but it's an indie game that could have gone under the radar for you, and you should play it if you like fun and being disturbed. Anywho's, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm listening to. That's what I'm talking about. That's the experiments I'm doing. That's the way I think about the things I do in the world. That's who I am. That's all, folks. You can support me on Patreon. Subscribe right there. YouTube thinks you'll like that video. And here's my previous one of these types of videos. What was it about? It was about starting Biphasic Sleep. Kind of similar. Pick a new topic, idiot. Did I already wink? I already winked. I already wank. I just use wank as the past tense of wink.